पीएमओ के वरिष्ठ अफसर आपके साथ विचार विमर्श करेंगे, बैठेंगे, आपकी समस्याओं को समझने के लिए और ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस और बढ़ाने के लिए आपसे खुले मन से चर्चा करेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, आज प्राइम मिनिस्टर ताकाइची और मैंने अपने साझेदारी को और भी गतिशील और गहरा करने का निर्णय लिया है। हमने इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी, एआई, डिफेंस, हेल्थ जैसे अनेक विषयों पर एग्रीमेंट किए, जिससे यह पार्टनरशिप फ्यूचरिस्टिक और लिमिटलेस बन जाएगी। हमारी सरकारों के बीच स्ट्रेटेजिक सिनर्जी है, कॉन्फिडेंस है और सबसे बड़ी बात क्लैरिटी है। अब इसे आउटकम्स में बदलने की जिम्मेदारी आप सभी पर है। फ्रेंड्स, आप सबको मिलकर यह सुनिश्चित करना है कि अगले एक दशक में जापान से भारत में निवेश 10 ट्रिलियन येन के टारगेट को भी पार करे और भारत में जापानी कंपनीज की संख्या भी 10 वर्ष में डबल हो जाए। फ्रेंड्स, मैं आपके समक्ष एक विजन रखना चाहता हूं। मैं एक ऐसा विश्व देखता हूं जहां जापान की टेक्नोलॉजी और भारत का मार्केट पोटेंशियल मिलकर सेमीकंडक्टर, फार्मा और क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स में दुनिया को रिजिलिएंट सप्लाई चेन प्रस्तुत करें दे। जहां जापान का कैपिटल और भारत की एम्बिशन मिलकर शिप बिल्डिंग, मोबिलिटी और क्लीन एनर्जी में नई ग्लोबल लीडरशिप तैयार करें। जहां भारत और जापान के स्टार्टअप से एआई, क्वांटम और बायोटेक में विश्व के नेक्स्ट जनरेशन सॉल्यूशंस आए और एरोस्पेस और डिफेंस में अभूतपूर्व सहयोग से हम ग्लोबल सिक्योरिटी में योगदान मजबूत करें। फ्रेंड्स, आइए ट्रस्ट और ऑप्टिमिज्म से भरी इस साझेदारी से म्यूचुअल ग्रोथ और ग्लोबल गुड का मार्ग प्रशस्त करें। जैसे टोयोटा वाले कहते हैं, आइए मिलकर लेट अस गो प्लेसेस। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly request your attention as their excellencies will now depart the venue. May I kindly request everyone to remain seated and join us in a huge round of applause as they take their leave.
Was Prime Minister Narendra Modi. After the 16th annual summit of Japan and India, Prime Minister Modi has given a strategic boost to the ties between the two countries, welcoming a new chapter in the global strategic partnership between the two of the world's 5 largest economies. Earlier, during the joint press briefing with his Japanese counterpart, PM Modi referred to the Japanese leader as his younger sister while celebrating her milestone status as Japan's first female prime minister. Reflecting on the dynamic geopolitical landscape and shifting global alliances, Modi re-emphasized that the deep-rooted relationship between New Delhi and Tokyo remains remarkably resilient and serves as a vital anchor for regional balance. And now shifting our focus, a fortified government zone, middle of the night raids, armored vehicles on the streets and billions of dinars in cash hidden inside private homes. Iraq has launched what is being described as its biggest anti-corruption crackdown in decades. Dozens of lawmakers and senior officials have been arrested. Luxury assets have been seized and dramatic images of cash and gold valuables have flooded social media. The operation marks the first major test for Iraq's new prime minister, who has vowed to end a culture of corruption and impunity. Now let us take you through how the crackdown is unfolding in Iraq. Before dawn, elite security forces rolled into Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone, the heart of Iraq's political establishment. The usually quiet district, home to parliament, government ministers, and foreign embassies. It was all sealed off as Iraq's counter-terrorism service launched coordinated overnight raids. By sunrise, 47 politicians and senior officials had been arrested. And now, in what authorities describe as an opening phase of the country's largest anti-corruption campaign in recent memory. Among those detained are sitting members of parliament, senior government officials, and political figures from across Iraq's blocs. Investigators say that the arrests were carried out under warrants issued by Iraq's Central Anti-Corruption Criminal Court. Authorities claim that the raids uncovered enormous quantities of unexplained wealth. Security forces reportedly recovered more than 20 billion Iraqi dinars as well in the raids, equivalent to nearly 15.5 million US dollars. Now, along with gold, luxury assets and other valuables from the home of the lawmaker, in a separate operation, 9 large water containers allegedly filled with US dollars were also seized during searches in Tikrit. Officials believe that the nationwide operation has already uncovered assets worth tens of millions of dollars, though many of the circulating claims and viral images on social media remain unverified. The investigation reportedly began after the arrest of a former deputy oil minister in May, whose testimony led to investigators to additional suspects and hidden assets. The sweeping crackdown is being led by Iraq's new prime minister, Ali al-Zaidi, who came to power promising to dismantle corruption that has plagued Iran for more than 2 decades. The prime minister said that no corrupt official will be protected and has pledged to recover public money and continue making the arrests. The crackdown comes as Iraq struggles with chronic power shortages, weak public services, high unemployment, and widespread public anger. Now, despite possessing some of the world's largest oil reserves according to global corruption rankings, Iraq remains among the countries facing the most severe governance challenges. The dramatic raids represent hope that for the first time in years, the political elite may finally be held accountable. Whether that hope survives will depend on what happens inside Iraq's courts in the months ahead. And now shifting our focus, it looked like a scene straight out of a Hollywood movie. That's right, 2 climbers, one of the world's tallest and the most iconic skyscrapers, and a banner calling for world peace. And then marriage proposal nearly 1,500 feet above the streets of New York. A Russian couple has grabbed global attention after illegally climbing on the top of the Empire State Building. Visuals on your screens right now. One of the world's most recognizable skyscrapers, urban climbers, and scale the building's 1,454-foot transmission tower, dressed in black, wearing face coverings, and reportedly without any safety harness. The pair documented every moment on social media as they balanced on the narrow antenna hundreds of feet above Manhattan. And at the top, they unfurled a giant banner carrying a message of peace, reading, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." And now, as stunt tourists watched from the observation deck below, the climbers eventually descended to a lower platform. Whether the stunt took an expected romantic turn, dropped to one knee, the man dropped to one knee, proposed to the partner, and finally she said yes. The couple embraced, shared a kiss, and celebrated their engagement high above the New York skyline. But the celebration was short-lived. The New York City Police Department cleared the observation deck, closed nearby streets, deployed a police helicopter, and later took the couple into custody without incident. Authorities say that charges are expected, though investigators are still trying to determine how the pair access the restricted transmission tower. The Empire State Building called the climb an unauthorized incident, noting that the couple wanted a legal proposal and can simply book its official proposal package. Experts have also warned that stunt could easily have turned deadly. The transmission tower carries live television and radio equipment and contains high voltage electrical systems. Officials say that even trained technicians undergo extensive safety training before working there. The couple, however, are no strangers to extreme climbs. They have previously scaled landmarks including Merdeka 118 and the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge. Their adventures were also featured in the Skywalkers, a love story documentary. Meanwhile, the girl's father has defended the stunt, saying that he was not worried because he climbs rooftops himself. So a dramatic proposal, a dangerous climb, and now a legal battle that could prove far more challenging than reaching the top of the Empire State Building.
All right.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Rob, come on up. Give me this.
You guys gonna be cooperative?
You cooperate? Matt, you're on.
On any room.
All right, bring her to the other side.
It's open over there.
Just bring her over there
You
so he can come down
Just so you're,
before he goes back up. What language do you guys speak?
Russian.
All right.
I understand, but not so.
Rob, you good? How you doing? Well, you can't.
And now the guns may have fallen silent, but the diplomacy is only just beginning. The United States and Iran have wrapped up another round of indirect talks in Qatar, with negotiators focusing not on nuclear weapons, but on reopening one of the world's most critical energy lifelines, that is the Strait of Hormuz. While both sides describe the discussion as constructive, major differences remain unresolved. In the latest diplomatic effort aimed at preventing tensions from spiraling back into the conflict, the talks were mediated by Pakistani and Qatari officials, with America and Iranian delegations holding separate meetings. According to officials familiar with the discussions, the negotiations focused primarily on two key issues: restoring safe shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and unfreezing Iranian financial assets held overseas. The strategic waterway is one of the world's most important maritime trade routes, handling nearly 1/5 of the global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments before the recent conflict. Although commercial traffic has partially resumed in the area, shipping through the strait remains uncertain. Following recent military exchanges and security concern, Iran is also seeking international recognition of its authority over the strait and has indicated that it plans to begin charging transit tolls after a temporary grace period ends in mid-August. Despite speculation, the talks did not focus on Iran's nuclear program. Sources say that the discussions remained technical and focused on the Strait of Hormuz, concentrating instead on implementing commitments made under the ceasefire framework agreed earlier. Speaking in Washington, Donald Trump said that a program was being made and the progress is now being seen in the talks, claiming efforts to address Iran's nuclear program were, he said, according to him, are moving along well. However, J.D. Vance clarified that nuclear negotiations would be taken up in the future rounds. Iran's delegation, led by Deputy Foreign Minister, confirmed the talks had concluded, but neither side announced any major breakthrough. Qatar's foreign ministry described the discussions as positive progress, saying that they were building on previous agreements reached after last month's conflict. The next round of negotiations is expected after the funeral ceremonies for Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Meanwhile, global markets reacted positively to the signs of continued diplomacy. Oil prices slipped to their lowest level in 4 months, reflecting the growing hopes that the world's most critical energy corridor could remain open. And for now, the war may have been paused, but the diplomatic battle over the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's future is now far from over. Meanwhile, Russia has launched one of its biggest aerial assaults on Ukraine in the recent weeks, targeting the heart of the country, the capital, Kyiv. The overnight attack killed at least 17 people and has injured more than 30, with officials warning that children were among casualties. According to Ukraine's Air Force, Russia fired 74 missiles and 496 drones in a single night aerial assault. While Ukrainian air defense intercepted the majority of the incoming weapons, 25 ballistic missiles and 12 drones still struck 33 different locations in Ukraine's Kyiv, leaving widespread destruction across the capital. Residential apartment blocks, hotels, civilian infrastructure, and even an ambulance station were hit during the attack. Massive fires erupted across Kyiv as emergency crews battled through the night to rescue survivors trapped beneath collapsed buildings. Officials say that at least 34 people have been pulled from the rubble, but rescue operations continue as fears remain that more victims may still be trapped. Residents described hours of explosion as air raid sirens echoed across the city. Many spent the night sheltering inside Kyiv's underground metro stations, while air defense systems attempted to intercept incoming drones and missiles. Ukrainian President Zelensky had warned just hours before the assault that Russia was actually preparing for a large-scale strike. He cut short his Dublin visit, urging Ukrainians to stay alert and protect their families. Kyiv's military administration accused Russia of deliberately targeting civilian neighborhoods. Ukraine's foreign minister has appealed to Western allies for more advanced air defense systems and tougher sanctions on Moscow. Russia, however, defended the strikes. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed that it targeted Ukrainian military and energy infrastructure, calling the operation retaliation for the recent Ukrainian attacks on Russian energy facilities. The assault also comes as fighting intensifies on the Eastern Front. More than 3 years into the war, the battlefield remains largely deadlocked. But attacks are now far from the front line, and it is continued to escalate, leaving civilians to bear the heaviest cost. We are now shifting our focus to an unprecedented environmental and cultural standoff gripping Europe as the continent reels under historic and destructive summer heat wave. Temperatures have reached a staggering 40 degrees Celsius, causing roads to melt, trams to malfunction, and schools to shut down. Experts warn that these extreme conditions, once predicted for 2030, have arrived 4 years early, right now in 2026. Yet, despite the soaring threat, an overwhelming majority of citizens and politicians are fiercely saying no to air conditioning. The resistance is rooted deeply in culture and aesthetics. Unlike the United States or Asia, where outdoor AC units are standard, Europeans view them as a visual plague that ruins historical architecture. In Paris, installation is strictly blocked to protect the limestone facade of the buildings. Local leaders insist that they do not want their historic cities looking like America, releasing heat and loud noise into the streets. Now, getting an AC is also a legal nightmare. Apartment associations and strict local laws routinely reject installations over noise pollution, with numerous cases now clogged in European courts. Currently, less than 5% of homes in England and 25% in France have AC units. Even hospitals and schools remain completely unequipped. But now, as heatwave deaths climb, ACs have turned into a massive political battleground. Far-right leaders are demanding a major national air conditioning plan, while the mayor of London is aggressively pushing to equip hospitals and schools. Climate ministers, however, fire back, arguing that energy-guzzling ACs completely undermine Europe's climate goals and will do nothing to stop the rising threat of forest fires and dying crops. The continent remains deadlocked, sweltering in the heat to save its heritage.
Has Europe failed to prepare for climate change? It was one of the first major economies to set a legally binding target to reach net zero emissions by 2050. But this year's heat waves exposed gaps in readiness. Long accustomed to a relatively gentle climate, Europe was slower to focus on adapting to extreme heat. In recent weeks, power supplies faltered, outdoor work was banned in some areas, and trains were cancelled. The economic impact, once called a tragedy of the horizon, is now immediate. Southern countries reliant on outdoor work and tourism have long faced the brunt. Now heat is hitting factories and offices in the cooler north, cutting productivity. Germany estimates a single day of extreme heat costs its economy around $465 million. Yet the Federal Environment Agency says only about half of German offices have air conditioning. While Brussels sets the broader climate agenda, adapting to heat and extreme weather is mainly the job of national and regional authorities. Geraldine Danny-Nedlich is from the German Institute for Economic Research, DIW.
Adaptation runs largely reactively via emergency spending after heat waves rather than through long-term finance structural adaptation. What is missing is this forward-looking investment in heat-resilient capital stock.
Some fixes are relatively simple. Reflective window film can cut indoor temperatures by 10 degrees Celsius and can help when heritage law prevents other changes. Irene Zeman, who leads business adaptation in North Rhine-Westphalia, sees some momentum.
We can really tell that the understanding this changing climate is impacting my business. Germany has a bit of a, let's say, backlog, or they're talking about soccer, they're 0-1 behind. Because for now, it has not been that much of an issue, but having a heat wave and consecutive days of hot temperature and that heat dome effect, that is new. None of our assets, none of our buildings or infrastructure, electricity networks or machines, they are not prepared for that kind of heat that cannot be reduced during night.
Many solutions demand deeper change, reworking shifts to cooler hours, redesigning workplaces, and rethinking transport and urban spaces. There's no one-size-fits-all, with the EU Climate Commissioner saying, quote, "There's no point saying from Brussels how the Greeks or Spaniards need to battle wildfires." From 2021 to 2025, 72% of EU climate spending went to mitigation and 18% to adaptation. Still, measures introduced since the deadly 2003 heatwave, heat health plans, early warnings, outreach to vulnerable people have worked. The World Health Organization estimated Europe's heat-related deaths today would be about 80% higher without them.
And it's time for us to slip into a quick commercial breather. Keep watching News9.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
They want to attack us, they want to target us, so we have to defend ourselves.
They are punishing countries outside the region as well, like India, and like countries in South and East Asia. This is completely unacceptable.
But it amounts more to harassment than anything else. The big problem that they've created now is the closure of the strait.
Ultimately, the main purpose of this exercise is, frankly, to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
We have to watch them carefully and closely as Israelis, but we have also to be patient and understand this is the nature of negotiations when it comes to Iran.
But even with a temporary pause, both are looking for deliverables for their political constituency.
Whenever they've got involved in a war on behalf of somebody else, there isn't been just an altruistic purpose. They've been involved in it for their own purpose as well.
Amid a fragile ceasefire, stakeholders take on the tough questions.
Was Israel surprised by the asymmetric warfare which Iran started conducting?
Yes, I think it was a kind of surprise, the level of savagery.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have to defend ourselves.
Like never before, on point with Kartikeya Sharma, decoding Hormuz, Kharg, and the ceasefire.
What is the future of peace in West Asia?
I hope that they got their lesson.
That are supposed to give a chance. We stay ready in case it doesn't work.
Every war has a political objective.
The voices that matter, only on News 9.
Now, Russia is grinding its way into a key stronghold in Ukraine's eastern fortress belt, long coveted by the Kremlin, even as it gains across the rest of the 1,200-kilometer front line have largely stalled.
Russia's grinding push into Ukraine has reached the outskirts of the city of Kostiantynivka in the Donetsk region. Here's why that's important. Kostiantynivka is the southernmost piece of Ukraine's fortress belt. This defensive line is central to Ukraine's efforts to hold the heavily industrialized Donetsk region. Seizing Kostiantynivka would give Russia a foothold to then move north along the belt. But any advance would likely be long and bloody for its forces. President Vladimir Putin has insisted Russia must control all of Donetsk before the war ends. Ukraine still holds around a fifth of the region after more than 4 years of fighting. Putin said last week Russia was close to capturing Kostiantynivka, whose pre-war population of nearly 70,000 has fallen to around 2,000. The head of Ukraine's operational command told Ukraine's public broadcaster on Thursday that Kostiantynivka could hold out at the current rate of manpower and resources, but one analyst said Russian efforts to take the city are steadily raising the cost for Kiev of defending it. Another told Reuters the city's fall, quote, seems to be more a question of time.
And now unstaffed coffee shops, ramen eateries and flower outlets are spreading across South Korea as owners turn to robots for self-service to overcome the rising labor cost in a business model that relies on the widespread honesty of users.
Customers at this coffee shop in Seoul are being assisted by a robot named Baris, and sites like this are becoming common across the country. Lounge X chief executive Kim Dong-jin said they turned to robots and self-service to overcome rising labor costs.
The cafe industry simply cannot afford to pay baristas a huge amount in labor costs. Structurally, this is because the moment you pay a barista a lot, the business structure for the owner to make profit becomes impossible. So, that means it is becoming increasingly difficult to hire expert baristas. Now, even hiring people who smile or greet customers is not easy. So we focused on unstaffed shops, and we believe it was a very good decision.
Kim says his company runs 8 such 24-hour coffee shops across South Korea, entirely unstaffed, while 4 stores are still operated by humans. While sales at a human-staffed coffee shop still tend to be higher, Kim said the savings on labor boosts the profitability of each unstaffed store to more than 40% or several times that at a regular branch. The move is aided by South Korea's low rates of petty crime, with customers generally rule-abiding. At this automated instant noodle shop, student Kim Hee-yeon ordered and prepared her food by herself.
I like to eat quietly while looking at my phone, so I do feel psychologically more comfortable when there isn't anyone around. It is slightly inconvenient that the staff is not right next to me when I have a problem, but the last time I asked for them, they came and resolved it within about 3 minutes. So I don't think that was a major inconvenience.
Such unstaffed stores were estimated to number 9,000 nationwide by the end of 2024, according to the National Fire Agency. Payments provider Samsung Card said the number probably grew 4 times by 2025 from 2020.
Meanwhile, armed with nothing but bandana and his bare hands, 42-year-old Clarence Chua rescues bees, scooping them from nests into wooden boxes to relocate them, sometimes to his own backyard. He is one of Singapore's few dedicated bee rescuers, spending his days relocating colonies discovered in unlikely urban spots.
To most Singaporeans, a hive of bees is a problem, but not for 42-year-old Clarence Chua.
This is the biggest bee nest I have ever seen in my life, and we are going to rescue them. Look at that.
Armed with a beekeeping veil, he scoops bees into wooden boxes to relocate them, sometimes to his own backyard. Chua is one of Singapore's few dedicated bee rescuers, spending his days relocating colonies discovered in unlikely urban spots.
What we do is called humane relocation. So it's not just relocation. Humane relocation means we don't harm them. We bring the whole nest and babies and the queen and the workers intact.
In the last 6 years, he has rehomed about 100 nests a year, saving roughly 6 million bees. For Chua, the work is about more than saving individual colonies.
70% of our lowland rainforest is bee-pollinated. 30% of our food crop, even stuff like cabbages, mangoes, are all bee-pollinated. Without bees, there will be much less fruit or much more expensive fruit because there's lack of fruit in the world. They built one comb on a large branch.
The founder of Nature Experience Center, The Sundowner, documents his rescues on social media to show followers that the colonies he encounters are more fragile than fearsome. But his work is not without risk.
I thought swamps, they are known to be quite docile, so I did not wear my suit. And because of something, they just started swarming and attacking me. I was tied in. I had to really spend a good 30 seconds or something undoing it before escaping. But by then I got stung 100 times, I think. It really taught me to not underestimate nature. Any crazy thing can happen with wild animals. Essentially, they're wild animals.
And Chua's ambitions stretch well beyond Singapore's borders. He hopes to make a global documentary on bees, a project he hopes could spark a conversation about global conservation.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration on Wednesday declined to extend the US-Mexico-Canada agreement, starting a decade-long clock to wind down the trade deal as it seeks changes to try to reshore manufacturing jobs and reduce US trade deficits with its North American neighbors.
Washington has declined to extend the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, starting the clock ticking on its demise. The decision was announced Wednesday after a 6-year review of the North American Free Trade Zone. Now the pact will expire after 10 years, unless the three countries agree to renew it with changes. In a statement, US Trade Representative Jameson Greer said Washington would keep talking to Canada and Mexico regarding the agreement's shortcomings. He said upcoming talks on the deal in Mexico City would go ahead. Mexican Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard said efforts would be made to address US concerns over job losses and trade deficits.
So, there isn't a difference that I would identify between Mexico, the United States, and Canada that is substantial or sufficient enough that we couldn't resolve it.
The USMCA was negotiated during Donald Trump's first administration. It was intended to strengthen the 1994 North American Free Trade Agreement and has underpinned some $1.6 trillion in annual trilateral trade. Back in 2020, Trump lauded the pact as the best agreement we've ever made. However, the new US move had been widely expected. Greer has said more time is needed to address the persistent and growing US deficits with Canada and Mexico. Trump had already thrown the relationship into turmoil after imposing steep tariffs on some goods from both countries. Greer said talks on new arrangements would continue, but added that the president was expected to remain skeptical about any new deal.
Meanwhile, the US Supreme Court has cleared the way for the Donald Trump administration to end the temporary protected status for more than 3,550,000 Haitians, a decision that has left many in South Florida fearing that they could soon lose the legal protections that have allowed them to live and work in the United States. Have a look at this report.
Awards adorn the walls of 47-year-old business owner Farah Larieu's home, a testament to the life she's built in the U.S. as a Haitian holding Temporary Protected Status, or TPS. But now the future looks uncertain for Larieu, after the U.S. Supreme Court last Thursday overturned decisions by federal judges that had halted the administration's actions terminating TPS, which will affect more than 350,000 people from Haiti and 6,100 from Syria. Lariu said she believes the decision goes beyond immigration policy.
So for me, it's a violation of my human rights. So the 6 conservative justices and President Trump and his administration, they are valid. Not only fundamental human rights, they are valid the Constitution of the United States that say that no one should be discriminated based on their race, on their religion, on their political view.
Though temporary, many TPS designations have been renewed for decades. In Miami's Little Haiti neighborhood, painter Patrick Knowes said the latest ruling contradicts the original purpose of TPS.
The temporary protection status, it means and entails if your country is unstable, I will protect you. Sending the Haitians back to Haiti, where? In a place where there is trouble. It's a troubled place right now.
The ruling comes after years of heightened tensions over U.S. President Donald Trump's rhetoric and immigration policies, including criticism that he has used racist language toward immigrants of color. During their 2024 election campaign, both Trump and now Vice President J.D. Vance promoted false claims that Haitian migrants in Ohio were eating pets. According to Reuters and Ipsos polling, the court's decision allowing his administration to end TPS likely means they will be targeted for detention and deportation, but those that have pending asylum or other claims may be allowed to temporarily remain in the U.S. Lariu, who had already braced herself for the worst, laments the ruling.
United States still an inspiration for many, many, many countries, and it is a shame that as we are celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country, we're losing this country is losing its values, and that's painful.